We are at the sixth Mishnah of the sixth chapter of Pirkei Avos, something called the 48 Ways. Okay, it says Torah, Gedola Torah Yoter min HaKahuna umin HaMalchus. Right? Torah is greater than either Kahuna, the priesthood, or Malchus. If you remember from the very beginning, the first parak, on page 582, if you're in an Art Scroll Siddur, page 582, sixth Mishnah of the sixth chapter. If you remember from the beginning, we said, Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omed, on three things the world stands, on Torah, on Avoda, and on Gemilas Chosadim. Three relationships in life: relationship with yourself, relationship with Hashem, relationship with other people. And each of those three has a person who's the gadol of that task. Right? The kahuna, a Kohen, is in charge of Avodas Hashem. Right? That's his job. He does karbanos, he brings you close. Even in our world, the job of a Kohen, of Levium, of the kahuna, is they focus on Avodas Hashem. Just as an aside, Malchus focuses on Gemilas Chosadim. Right? You should know the Jewish approach to a king is very different than the outside world approach to the king. Right? Who ends up as the king of the Scotsman? Right? Whoever was Robert the Bruce, the leading warrior, the guy who could paint his face the coolest blue and kill the most Picts and Angles and Normans, or whomever it is, he becomes the king. Right? Knights and warriors and warlords, it's a warlord mentality. It says that's not the Jewish model of a king. The Jewish model of Malchus, let's say you have that a kahuna, that a Kohen's job is to be the leader in Avoda. The king's job is to be the leader in Gemilas Chosadim. His job is to look after the physical and material needs of the people. He's the job who's supposed to make sure that the aqueducts are working and water is flowing and the taxes are paid and collected and roads are built. Everything necessary to bestow kindness and make the physical practicalities of life work, that's the job of a king. Now that also means you need to protect the borders, because no one has a very happy life if the other guys move in and steal all the women and burn all the houses down and eat all your food. Right? So an army is part of that. But ultimately it's not about the king's power for his own sake. So the king being the leader of Gemilas Chosadim. Right? And the last is Torah, is the Talmid Chacham. Right? The job of a teacher, of a Talmid Chacham, of Torah, of learning, is to teach everybody. To give them clarity on what their lives are supposed to be about. Right? So he says, so there's three crowns. There's a crown of Torah, right? There's a crown of Malchus, of kingship, and a crown of Kahuna. So we say, Gedola Torah, it's greater, Torah is greater, Yoter, even more so, Mina Kahuna, it's greater than the Kahuna, greater than the priesthood, and it's greater than the kingship. Shemalchus niknes b'shaloshi malot, that Malchus, being a king, comes with 30 elevations, right? 30 really prerogatives, 30 really cool things that come to you if you're the king, right? We're not going to go through those, what they are, but kingship, is interesting, is measured by, there's 30 really good perks that you get. V'hakahuna niknes b'asrim v'arba'a, and the kahuna, the priesthood, comes with 24 cool things. You get to eat from the offerings, from the kodshim, you got to be the first guy who wakes up on Yom Kippur morning, right? There's cool stuff that gets to come to you. But again, both of those, it mentions the ma'alot, right? The perks you get. HaTorah niknes ba'arba'im u'shmona dvarim. But it says the Torah, and it's interesting, Torah says is acquired, right? Torah is acquired with 48 things. These are the 48 ways, the 48 paths, the 48 tools to wisdom. So we're going to go through, the Elohim, these are them. We're going to go through 48 ideas. And each of these ideas, these are the tools that are necessary for you to have Chachma. Right? Really, it's necessary to acquire Torah. But Rav Noach teaches how these are the 48 tools you can be. These are the 48 tools necessary to be the best lawyer in the world, or the best doctor in the world, or the best anything in the world. For you to really grow, these are the 48 paths to wisdom in life. And here we are. Okay. The Eluhain, Batalmud, Bishmias HaOzen, Biarichas Sefasayim, Ubavinas Halev. So here's 4 we're going to start with together. So the first one is Talmud. So Talmud is this idea of constant study. Talmud is How do you learn? What's the first tool to get to Chachma? Learn. Study. Right? If you're not willing to study, if you're just basically saying, I'm going to lie on the beach and eat bonbons and, drink Mai Tais for the rest of my life, and I'm going to put you're not going to get anywhere. Right? The first step in Chachma or Torah is studying, is learning. So Rav Noach says that your learning should have 5 attributes. Right? When we say Batalmud, we say constant studying with effort. It's 5 factors. So one is learning has to be constant. That at every moment of your life, every day of your life certainly, that you should be willing to learn. Right? Your eyes should always be open that there's something in this circumstance for me to learn from. There's something in this person for me to learn from. That I am constantly, my general sense of life is I'm always learning. There's always something new. Be a tourist of ideas. Right? You walk into a new situation, whether it's lacrosse or baseball or Torah or cooking or, how to raise spinach. Whatever it is, whatever you find yourself involved in, say, I want to learn it. I'd like to know. I want to grow. Second is it has to be continuous. It has to be without interruption. Right? That there has to be a focus. He says, Rav Noach says, set aside a certain block of time that you learn without interruption. That we've become multitasking people. You always have your cell phone, right? You're always getting text. You're always looking down to see whether there's a new email, right? There's, the TV's on in the background. Someone comes in and talks to you. He says that your mind, in order for you to really learn, your mind needs to be solely focused, at least for those moments, on learning. So Rav Noach suggests that even if it's a small period of time, right? Even if it's half an hour a day, right? That at some point you have to find some way to study without distraction. Pick any subject you're trying to learn about. If you're trying to learn about how SpaceX works, you're going to do much better if you take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a half an hour, whatever, and focus, right? Pull your full brain power into, this is what I'm learning about. This is what I'm trying to get a handle on. Right? That's what he calls consistency. Right? The fourth that's continuous. Then there's consistency. Consistency is if you really want to learn something, he says, try to learn the same thing at the same time. Right? Either every single day, same time of the day. Set 5 minutes before lunch, or 10 minutes before you go to bed, or the 10 minutes before you wake up in the morning, or maybe better after you wake up in the morning. But right? Or every Tuesday night, or every Thursday at lunch, or noon on Fridays, or right before Mincha, or right after Mincha. So if you create a pattern in your life that it's happening over, that it's a consistent thing, it's a system. It's not that I'm just randomly learning. If I happen to find myself in a position that I can look at something, I'll pick it up and look at it. He says you want to find a way to build some sort of learning that's consistent into your life. Next is repetition. Whatever you learn, go over it. Over and over and over. We talked about the introduction to the Ramchal, to Mesilas Yesharim. He says, if you think I'm going to teach you stuff that you don't know, it's a mistake. And if you think I'm going to teach you something that you can learn once and be done with, that's also a mistake. He says the important stuff that you have to learn is stuff that you already know. Right? You've already heard the idea, and you have to go over it over and over and over. That any of these principles, if you pick up one of these ideas, repeat it. Learn it again. Learn it again. On this Avos class, so we started March 23rd, 1990. So we're now in our 22nd year. Right? So we've been through multiple cycles. But repeating it and doing it again, every time you do it, you see it a little bit deeper and a little clearer, and it becomes more real. Right? You're building muscle memory of an idea. You want to teach your kid how to be a decent batter, right? To sit there and teach him how to turn his foot. And you have to get him to turn his foot 1,000 times. Because it's not until you hit like 600 that your brain has kind of worn a pathway of the proper way to turn your foot. Right? The proper way to move your elbow, to turn your hands. Anything you really want to build, you have to build a path of muscle memory. It's the same thing for morality. It's the same thing for Torah. It has to be constant. You're always learning. I'm always open to learn. It has to be continuous. Sometime when I learn, it's for a focused, whatever those moments are, it's focused. I'm not going back and forth and holding my mind back. I'm putting my mind into it. It has to be consistent. You should have some pattern that you're learning the same thing every day or every week or every month, or some consistent pattern to your learning. Repetition. Go over it and over it and over it. Hear the idea? Do the idea again tomorrow. Do it again the next day, right? Do it the next day. And just keep doing it. And if you keep doing it, eventually it becomes a pattern to you. Because then you get the last thing, is it becomes pervasive. If you have an idea, you want the idea to become pervasive. You want to identify yourself with that idea. Right? You become that idea. You can become a whole list of ideas. Hopefully there's hundreds and hundreds of ideas. But it's pervasive in your life. Right? You know, my kids tease me because anything I try to say comes out as Pirkei Avos. Right? I try to do a sales call and it comes out as Mishnah. I'm trying to have breakfast with my friends this morning, and you know, he says something and all I can think of is the Mishnah that reflects on that. Right? He says something else and all I can think of is another, you know, piece from a Mishnah. That it's, you know, your brain is stuck. It becomes pervasive in your life. You're trying to shape who you are. So study, he says, the first step of Chachma has to be a willingness and a focus on learning. Constant, I'm always open to it. Continuous, whenever I sit down to do it, whatever chunk of time I have, I'm focused on it. Consistent, I'm learning on a regular basis. Repetition, I don't think that it's about hearing an idea and passing it away. It's not like your anthropology class in college that the goal is to learn it enough to take the test and be done with it. Right? You're repeating the idea so it sticks with you and eventually becomes pervasive. That's the Talmud.